Hey guys, Cliff Gray here with Flat Tops Wilderness Guides and True Hunts. Today is just a short video on traveling with hunting gear, okay? This is gonna apply to domestic travel and also international travel. I'll give you a few tips and tricks, all right? So just off the bat, guys, you can see this is the gear that I generally travel with in terms of bags and stuff. One thing you're gonna see is you're not seeing a bunch of camo, you're not seeing a bunch of hunting brands, you're not seeing antlers on things. You're not seeing AR-15 logos on, on my Pelican, stuff like that. And that's by design, guys. When you think about traveling, particularly internationally, but even within the US, what do you gain by announcing to the world that you're going on a hunting trip, right? Not very much. I can't think of anything you actually gain, all right? However, I can think of a lot of negative to announcing to the world that you're going on a hunting trip, okay? The main one, of course, is that you have a firearm with you, all right? You got to remember, a firearm is one of the very few things that is worth more stolen as a stolen good than it is as a legal good, okay? So realize that letting everybody know you have a firearm is not always the best. And then, of course, a lot of people are going to associate, hunting stuff with expensive gear, optics, that sort of thing. The other thing is you got to remember that your gear is going behind closed doors, baggage handlers are moving it, and I hate to say this, but I fear that probably in some areas, particularly when you're going through certain countries or certain states, a bag that's very clearly a hunter's might be treated differently than something else, right? I really want people to think this is camera equipment or something like that rather than a rifle, okay? And then the other big one, which I have seen in action, guys, is at gate check-in when you're working with people who are checking in your rifle, even on domestic flights. If you come in looking, maybe just as a, professional who's traveling that day or whatever, and you almost catch them off guard that you have a firearm with you, it tends to go smoother. I can't really tell you why. It might be that some of them have a bias against hunting or whatever, but generally, if you're not portraying that everything's camo or whatever, that goes a little bit smoother. And much more so, I've seen this in customs, okay, going into other countries. It's a lot nicer if you just go through low key, okay? You just tell guys, of course you follow the rules, you tell guys what you have, you go through the paperwork, and it tends to go smoother. That particularly applies to logos and stuff on your firearm case, okay? Do not have an AR-15 logo on your firearm case. I have seen that before, okay, guys? I've seen that when I've landed in other countries, in particular Canada, British Columbia. I've seen gun cases that have AR-15 logos on it, right? Or other sorts of logos like that. I obviously don't have anything against the Second Amendment. I'm very pro Second Amendment, but you have to realize that other countries, that's not a thing there, okay? And all it's going to do is cause you issues. If you go through customs or something like that, they're going to scrutinize you big time in a country that is not as Second Amendment friendly, okay? The reality is they don't have a Second Amendment. We're very lucky here. So don't draw attention to those things. And realize, it's particularly Canada, I think it's easy for guys to realize that you're not in the US. You don't have the same rights, guys. All right, so don't go down that avenue. Just try to avoid it. Keep it low key. Like I said, there's not a big advantage to broadcasting to the world that you're carrying firearms and you're going on a hunting trip. Okay. All right. So the first thing I'll cover is how I carry my firearms. This is a simple Pelican case, and I'll open it up for you. Just bite the bullet and buy one of these types of cases. There's a couple different brands. Pelican's the one that most people know, and you can cut out, for your rifles. I suggest that you just get one that can carry 2 rifles. If anything, where customs will allow it or the airline will allow it, you can always carry 1 rifle and then potentially optics. Some places, the only thing that can be in the case is the rifle. All right. including ammo. Ammo can't be in the case. It has to be in your checked luggage. But having the capacity for 2 firearms makes a lot of sense. You're going to want a TSA approved lock. All right. A lot of time they're going to want to make sure that it's locked with that. And what it means is that they can open it. Okay. You're a lot better getting a TSA approved lock than saying, oh, I don't want them to open my rifle. Well, what'll happen is you'll be sitting at the gate, and this could happen 10 minutes before the plane leaves and people are boarding, and they're going to call your name and they're going to make you go back there and unlock it. All right. I've seen that happen with clients. So don't do that. Just get a TSA approved lock. Yes, they can open it, but that's just kind of the deal. And on the firearm thing, this applies. Okay, so I'll talk about domestic travel first. What you're going to find is do your research on the airline you're going to travel with, and you'll be able to find rules online of what they want you to do in terms of traveling with the firearm. And follow those rules, okay? So if they don't want the ammo in with the firearm, then put it in your checked luggage, okay? Follow those rules and be prepared. When you show up at the check-in where you're going to check your luggage and your firearm, a lot of times whoever you're talking with there is going to apply a different set of rules, okay? And this is very common. Don't let it fluster you. What I found the best thing to do is just follow the rules that they're telling you when you check the rifle, okay? I've actually been in the line to check luggage, had them tell me one thing, and then when you go to the gate, they're going to have you walk your firearm typically to a separate x-ray machine, and there the TSA employee there might actually tell you something even different than what the person told you when you checked your luggage, okay? So just don't get flustered about it and follow those rules. I've never had an issue just defaulting to what that person says, right? And a lot of times it has to do with ammo, right? Some of them want it in, some of them want it out, whatever. Some of them, don't want to see the firearm. Some of them want to see that it's unloaded, all those different things. It's just, you just got to deal with the individual that you're dealing with as you go through. Same thing with customs in other countries, all right? Some of them won't even look at the firearm. Some of them want to look at it detailed, right? And the same deal. Some of them want your ammunition in factory ammunition packages, okay? So like if you have reloads in just like a clear case, a lot of times, particularly international travel, they're not going to let you come through with those. So realize that technically they want you to have factory ammunition, and that ammunition has to be in a factory packaging, okay? So there's a lot of little rules there. You'll get through. Generally, most of the time, it's no problem. A lot of these places are used to hunters, and you're not gonna have an issue. All right. Okay. In terms of the other bags that I travel with, there's a couple different ones that I like. This North Face dry bag. They make several different sizes. This, I believe, is their extra large. This is really handy. Of course, it's waterproof, or it may not be waterproof like a true dry bag, but it's very water resistant. Okay, and all the bags I use in terms of my outer checked-in bag, they're going to be waterproof, because the more remote you go, the more chances that your luggage is going to be sitting out in the rain. Okay, so I like that extra protection. The other thing is, if I'm getting to a destination where it's going to sit in the rain there, I don't have to worry about it, right? I don't always have to be looking over my shoulder at my bag. So this North Face bag, this is an extra large, and I can't remember what the model is, but it's their main bag. Here it is, guys. Okay, I'll put that in the notes, the model of it. The nice thing about it has nice shoulder straps, okay? So you can put, 50 pounds of stuff in here, and you can use those full shoulder straps. So if you're carrying your Pelican, you can strap this on, and then you can remove the straps. One of the other big things is you do not want to send anything as checked luggage that has a bunch of straps that are going to get stuck in the belts, because that's a great way to ruin a pack. So this is the best of both worlds. You got straps, and then you can take them off and you can stick them in here. The other thing that's nice about this pack in particular is it's actually a fairly good carry-on, right? Of course, if you fill it all the way up, they're not going to let you take it on as a carry-on. But if you only got it 30-40% full of stuff, and A lot of times if you're traveling somewhere, it's nice to have some excess capacity, right? So when you're bringing stuff back, you can put some things in there. I mean, for instance, a lot of times we send guys back from British Columbia with salted bear hides, and they can take them in their carry-on, okay? So it's nice to have a little capacity. So you can use this as a carry-on because it can shove tight enough to get in an overhead bin or whatever, as long as you don't have it full. So it's nice to have a multiple options with this pack, all right? This is probably the pack I've traveled with the most, and you can see it's got duct tape on it, and it's got tenacious tape patches and everything else. This is the Boundary Waters pack that Cabela's makes, and this thing you can put a tremendous amount of capacity in, right? And the nice thing about it, like any backpack hunt, you can see here, I can easily set my whole pack in there, all right? So this is a good example, like a pack like this, your backpack hunting pack, whatever you do, whatever they tell you when you're checking in or whatever, do not let them convince you that it's a smart idea to check these bags in without being inside something else, okay? Even when they put them in, sometimes they'll put them in like a plastic bag. Still, these are notorious for a strap to fall out of that bag, rubs, and it opens up that bag and the strap goes, and you can ruin a $800-900 pack pretty quickly. And the other thing is when you're traveling international in particular, they get stuck in something, they get torn up, they might not end up on the airplane, right? They'll get it there eventually, but they'll throw it in a garbage bag and send it on its way eventually. So you just don't want to cause them hassles. So this is a great bag for that. And a lot of times what I do, this is my main check-in bag, and then maybe this one from North Face. A lot of times what I'll do is, like domestic flights, I'll check my optics a fair amount of time. I feel pretty safe. I usually wrap them, understanding that the pack is going to be abused by baggage handlers, all right? If I'm traveling internationally, I almost always put my optics in my carry-on so I can watch them the whole time, okay? You have to be like range finding binoculars are the only thing I've ever had them look at before. It goes through the x-ray and then they'll look at them and they have a little concern about those. But I've never had a problem with carrying my large optics as in my carry-on. So I just I do that quite often just so I don't have to worry about them getting thrown across the tarmac or whatever, all right? So a lot of times I'll do that. And the way I carry those is I'll just have a little pack like this. This is a Camelback. I'll use this quite often. I of course drain the Camelback and put it in my checked-in luggage, but I can put my spotter in here. I can put my passport, all the stuff I need, all right? And I always assume that I'm gonna have to live out of my carry-on. If, particularly an international flight, I'm gonna have to live out of it. I might have to even hunt out of it for a day or two, just assuming that something gets screwed up in all the logistics. If you're prepared that way, you're going to be a lot happier when it does happen. You're not going to feel like it's ruining your hunt. It's just a little inconvenience. You got to wait on some of your other gear or whatever. So make sure you pack your carry-on accordingly. And just so you guys know, another option that a lot of guys use that are similar to this Boundary Waters and this North Face pack for check-in bags, a lot of guys use the Kuiu line of bags, right? They look just like these North Face bags. I think they're like Taku or something like that. But they work well too. The only thing I don't like about them is that they have a huge Kuiu logo on there. So you're announcing to the world what's in there, all right? That's just my little pet peeve. It's not that big a deal. It's a high quality product, all right? So with these, this is usually what I'm carrying. And like this one here, one thing I do is like every time I check it in, you'll see it's got all this strapping. I make a concerted effort to wrap these straps up, okay? It's got a shoulder strap. I take this shoulder strap off. I wrap all these up, and then when I roll my dry bag component of the seal here, I'll roll this up. I catch the strapping in this, okay? So it's a very tight package, all right? I don't want any strapping on these packs to get stuck in the baggage equipment, all right? And then a lot of times, if I'm going in like a pack-in hunt, like the gear's gonna go on mules or something, or if you're gonna go on an airplane when you get somewhere, I always will pack some of my gear in internal dry bags inside this checked bag. And then when I get there, those are things I don't have to reorganize, right? Like if I'm going somewhere where I've got to bring some of my own backpacking gear, a lot of times I'll put it in a big dry bag and then just roll it up, have it tight, and then it's in this pack. And then I don't have to worry about it. Like if I'm going to leave this pack at a hotel or, at a base camp or whatever, and then fly in somewhere, I can grab this and I know exactly what's in there. And the other components of my trip, like staying in a hotel before or after logistics, I'm not going to need that pack, so I can just seal it away. So I do a lot of that. Okay, I have that stuff all organized. I don't like organizing things while I'm trying to travel. Okay, that tends to be where people get a lot of their anxiety and stress has to do with that. All right, so I pack my stuff up. I know what's in there, and then it's closed up until I get to hunting, and that includes all the logistics in between. That means that I'm not packing hunting gear with kind of my street clothing or whatever. I'm packing it all separately in a modular system, so I'm not getting in and out of stuff that I'm not going to need until the hunt. All right, guys. So I hope you found that helpful. I hope you're able to draw a couple little tips and tricks out of that, and I hope it helps you on your next trip. Good luck.